If you like paranormal, true crime, cryptids, or anything else weird, check out the Ouch Was That a Ghost podcast brought to you by your host Liz. You can find Ouch Was That a Ghost on Spotify, Apple, or any other audio platform. New episodes drop every Thursday.
Hello and welcome to Just Us Thinking. I'm your host, Michael.
And I'm your co-host, Rebecca.
And I'm your AV guy, Mikey.
And we have a special guest for a special show.
Hello, I'm Chad. How you doing?
Not too bad. Now, you're our local Irishman, right?
Well, not completely Irish. I'm Irish and Swedish, so I'm an Irish Viking. That makes me a whole special kind of crazy.
Oh, okay.
That explains so much in our friendship here. What is today's show, Rebecca?
Today's show is going to be Irish traditions.
All right. So, and that's why we have Chad here, right?
It is.
So, from your Irish heritage, and I hear this from just about everybody. I hear it during Cinco de Mayo as well. What is one of your biggest pet peeves for St.Patty's Day?
Everyone wants to be Irish, and they use it as an excuse to go out and drink.
Yep. They do the same thing for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Do they think they're Irish on Cinco de Mayo?
Oh, yeah. Though they think they're Hispanic on Cinco de Mayo, and then they want to drink.
I was going to say, they drink way too much on St. Patrick's Day then if they still think they're Irish a month and a half later.
I know a couple guys. I'll be honest with you. Can you imagine an Irish-Spanish accent?
Oh, that'd be messed up.
That would be funny.
It would be hilarious. I want to hear it now, but
I'm trying to fathom it in my head, and
I know. Can one of you try this real quick?
Let's not.
kiss me arse. You can kiss me arse. Nah,
that's.
I don't think you could do an Irish Hispanic accent together.
No,
you don't think
okay.
so?
I'd pay to hear it.
You can do an Irish accent,
You'll
right?
hear old Guinnesses.
I really don't, just because I just don't.
Okay.
I speak a little Gaelic every now and then, which that's the national language of Ireland, if you don't know.
Okay. And so Gaelic, and then here's my other problem with everybody that doesn't know what they're talking about. Is it Celtic or Celtic?
So technically it's Celtic, at least as far as I know.
That's how I know it too.
And that comes from going back to the days of Rome, and the Celts had gone from Ireland into Britannia and then into Northern Europe.
Right, and that they're called Celts, and they're Celtic. That's where it comes from. So they had like the Celtic knot. It's not a Celtic knot.
Right. They also invented psychological warfare.
Did they?
Yes, they did. They one of the things that they did, because they were very barbaric in nature and couldn't really stand up to, a Roman legion coming at them. And they did this before then, but it really freaked out the Romans the first time they saw it. Everyone that's seen Braveheart has seen where they paint the blue on their face.
Yeah,
That actually goes back to this. They found a berry that had psychological properties, and it would absorb through your skin, so they'd mash that up, strip down naked, paint it all over themselves, and it'd cause them to go a little bit crazy.
That's where you get the berserking warlord.
Well, that's from Vikings more, the berserker idea.
Okay.
But the first times the Romans saw that, and a bunch of guys stark-ass naked painted blue with swords or axes running at you, that'll scare you a little bit.
Yeah. Very similar to a guy on meth running at a cop naked with a knife.
Yeah. I kind of did the same thing too, because from when I read into this, it also really dulled their pain senses. So, they could get hacked a few times and wouldn't even know it because it sent them into a rage. So,
well, yeah, that sounds like meth.
Yeah. Meth of the Roman days.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. Now, I think Rebecca has a list here. Some of the do's and don'ts for St. Patty's Day. So,
well, no, these are the do's and don'ts, like if you're traveling to Ireland.
Okay. I will tell you these things are do's and don'ts on St. Patty's Day as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm reading the list. One is that don't try an Irish accent.
Yep.
because you will fail at it.
Now, I watched a video of a guy going into New York, and he tried a New York accent, and he's like, forget about, he did
The stereotypical.
Yeah.
the stereotypical.
Which I'm also a New Yorker, so.
Right. That's why I brought it up, because I know you'd find this funny. And then some woman, like, walking by, she, like, grabbed him by the shirt and said, we don't talk like that. Like,
Well, and, back to the Irish accent, here's the thing about it, and really the only people that can do an Irish accent are actual Irish.
Right.
Because that brogue that they have, if you try and do it, you either end up sounding Scottish, English, or Australian.
that is true. That is true, because I think every time I've tried a Irish accent, it always turns into a drunk Scottishman.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. It totally does.
So I did a stint at work one year where
She
we
says
were
it like she was in prison. I did a stint.
Yeah. How long were you in for?
It wasn't very long, but no, we did this stint at work where we were helping out with some accounts over in the United Kingdom. And there was like 10, maybe 15 of us that were doing it. And we had this one girl that was trying to talk like she was British. And we were all like, shut up.
Yeah, I would assume it's the same.
Yeah.
We do not want to hear you talk anymore.
You didn't want to hear her say top of the morning and cheerio?
No. I was like, I think all of us, like the first time we were like, we're going to kill her.
So if we're all talking and we're all, because we know each other well enough here that we could do some choppy crap like that, and we would all think it's funny because we all do it. I mean, we all have the accent.
We'd all have a
Yeah.
good laugh at it.
Yeah. I have a couple accents like it. I do a really good surfer impression. Here it says also, don't overlook the weather.
Yep. And that's because I guess most of it rains a lot there. So like,
Yeah, the weather
Yeah.
in Ireland is 99% crap.
yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's rainy and overcast, and they do have some nice sunny days, but they're few and far between.
Okay. See?
And so, like, if you leave, like, you have to prepare for everything, right?
That's pretty much what
Yeah.
they're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Prepare for it to be rainy and
Bring your umbrella or buy one when you get there.
yeah.
Right. Now it says do traditional activities.
Such as like dancing or like they have
Go to the pub.
Yeah, go to the pub.
Oh, yeah.
Probably try some of the more traditional foods.
Engage in conversations, but not with the Irish accent.
Right.
Avoid that.
Yeah. So
No.
Now I've got a cousin that's been to Ireland a few times, and he took my dad with him one time, and so the people over there are the nicest people you'll ever meet. They'll sit and talk to you about anything and love to talk. So yeah, if you're going over there, I would definitely recommend talking to the locals and go to a local pub and just have a conversation with someone.
yeah, don't go to McDonald's over in Ireland.
That you just say don't do that, but I was told there's actually different food in different countries when
The
you
McHaggis.
go. Yeah, you might have the McHaggis. I don't know.
Okay, well,
So I don't know, because I know Japan has like a crazy thing.
Oh my God,
But,
they do.
Yeah. So, and then it says here, their national drink. Oh, okay, yeah, we all know this one. If you don't know this, you don't know an Irish person. Guinness.
Yep.
yep.
So,
Like mother's milk.
yeah.
I tell you, when I turned 21, I was the oldest of my group of friends. And I turned 21. As soon as my friends would turn 21, their birthday drink for me would be a Guinness, just so I could watch their face. Because if you haven't had Guinness, it's a different experience with the taste of it.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So, yeah.
I'm not a big beer drinker, so I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, you almost have to have another type of beer in your system or something before. It's like Stockholm syndrome with beer. Guinness is not. Guinness is not for the new beer drinker.
No.
I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
No, you have
You-
to have experienced some other beers to truly appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
And I'm not talking Miller Lite, Bud Light, things like I'm talking real beers
yeah,
with some flavor to them.
yeah. So, real beer, like not crap. Don't
Something
not
that's
a
hoppy
PBR.
and bitter and
Now, I think that would fall like the Blue Moons and things like that. Something that has a little hops. That
they get you a little bit closer. They still don't.
Guinness is a different animal. It really is. So I can't drink a Guinness. I'll be honest.
I would drink it a lot more, except for it's so damn expensive when you go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is expensive, but man, it's a different taste.
Yeah, but $10 for a Guinness is a little steep in my book.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of places where it's $10-12 a pint.
Even
No.
over here?
Oh, yeah.
Over here,
Over here,
definitely.
yeah. It's more
Oh.
expensive over here.
Wow.
So
That's been a long-
have you ever had a Guinness?
It's been a really long time.
All
Like,
right.
I'm not a beer drinker.
Next
so.
time I
Okay.
come over, I'm bringing Guinness.
Okay.
Next time you come over, I'll have Guinness because I've got the Guinness pint glasses at home.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah. So next game night, we're having Guinness.
Yep.
Okay. I'm good with that. What else is on this list? Irish stew.
Yep, they're some of their signature dishes. You know, you have your Irish stew. I found like an Irish white pudding, and then bacon and cabbage. Have you
You
ever
had me
tried
at bacon.
I can't do cabbage.
Yeah.
It messes with me internally. So,
Okay.
corned beef and cabbage, bacon and cabbage, I can't eat that. So,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a real big fan of cabbage either. So,
I'm not
yeah.
either. That's why I'm not a big fan of Runza, because they have the cabbage in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes me think someone from Runza's.
You definitely can't have Runza because they got onion in it, too.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the national flower. Mikey, can you guess what the national flower is?
The clover.
Shamrock, but
Yeah.
same thing.
What's the difference?
Where you are when you're calling it that.
Yeah. Location.
Yeah.
Location.
Here in the States, it's clover. In Ireland, it's shamrock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then the dance. I can't do this dance.
I'll tell you what. Back when I was younger and my family still had houses on a private beach out in New York, and it's funny because back then I was like, "Do we really have to? I don't want to." And now I look back and say, that was fun. I wish I could go back and do that again.
Right.
Aw.
But it was a private beach community, and they'd have Irish singers come in, and they'd have an Irish dance troupe come in.
Oh,
And
wow.
the stuff they do, and they practice hours a day for years and years on end to be able to dance like that.
Yeah. So it's if you don't know by now, it's the river dance.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
What do
Hey.
you call it?
It's just traditional Irish dance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But river dance took parts of it did that to get famous. And if you don't know what it is, it's a lot like that. But essentially, with traditional Irish dance, from the waist up, you're stationary. It's all your legs.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
wicked. If you ever watch someone actually do the Irish dance, it's like their top half isn't really moving, but they're also bouncing. So they
Yeah.
when they start, their torso kind of moves up and then hovers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch them, and I'm talking about the professionals, you could take a piece of paper and cover the bottom of the screen, and it would look like they're standing there. If you take that paper and cover the top, you would think that they're moving all over the place. It is the most disconcerting thing I've actually ever done. And I've done that. I took my hand and I put my hand on the top. I'm like, I can't move my legs like that. There's no damn way. My legs don't coordinate like that.
Now, could you imagine if they kicked you with how their legs can move like that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Whack.
So now we're going to get into the history of what St. Patrick's Day is. So the big, what everybody thinks happened is some guy came back, said, I hate snakes, and then drove every single one of them from the island.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
And they say that's why there are no indigenous snake species in Ireland.
yep.
But that's not the true story.
Yeah, and I don't know if that has any kind of truth to it at all. I don't know if this guy really hated snakes and when he ran across one, he killed him. I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been snakes in Ireland.
In all the history of Ireland that I've done, I've not seen where they've talked about any sort of indigenous snake. Any snake that's been there was taken from somewhere else to there.
Right. So I'm going to gather the reason this kind of got going was in the faith that he brought over, which was Christianity. You have the original Adam and Eve story and how the serpent or the snake kind of, poisoned Adam and Eve against God, basically, is what the story is. So
They introduced original sin.
right. So I want to say that's kind of, I think that was interpretation of the driving of the snakes was him driving the sin out
Could
of
be.
that.
Could be. The real story of St. Patrick is he was from Ireland, got taken to Rome as essentially a slave, converted to Christianity, and then went back to Ireland and spread Christianity throughout Ireland. which is also why the shamrock is important to Ireland, is because that's what he used to describe and explain the Holy Trinity.
Right, 3 parts.
Oh.
So yeah, the Holy Trinity, and it's the Father, the Son, and
The Holy Spirit.
I see, and it depends on what religion and what sect you're from. It's holy. I was told Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. I was told Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I was taught ghost.
Were you taught ghost?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to look back at my Catholic days going, I don't remember because they're so, I think that's where I have the Mandela effect. I don't know which one it was now. So,
And I know growing up Catholic, it was always the Holy Spirit.
okay.
Now, I think it also depends on where you're from, like a lot of things, and if
Right.
it could be that if you're from the South, they may say Holy Ghost and it means the same thing, but at least when I was growing up Catholic, it was always Holy Spirit.
So, and that's interesting with the greetings here and this is they make the sign of the cross. So when you walk in there, it's almost like the bless me, Father kind of deal. Now, do they actually walk into places and do that?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was just like, I remember every time I walked in and I grew up Catholic, and I remember every time you walked in, there was a couple people standing by the door. You had the holy water. Mm-hmm. You had to do it. And when they walked you in and they took you to your seat, they did the cross in the air, and then you have to, you kind of kneeled and then you sat down.
You genuflect. Now,
Yeah.
when I was younger and we go to church, they didn't have people holding the holy water. They had on the main center aisle just inside the door on either side, they had little bowls with holy water that you'd use to bless yourself. And then you'd go down and pick your seat. Or if they were doing ushers, they didn't do the sign of the cross, but they'd take you to where there was a spot for you and your family to sit, where there was enough room, and you genuflect and then go take your seat.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
now
what I remember too.
is it safe to say most of Ireland is Catholic then?
Ireland proper, when you get into Northern Ireland, that's mainly Protestant.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the divide is. I remember there was always an Irish fest when I got to New York in the summer by where my family had houses. And you would always see shirts and signs that said 26 plus 6 equals a united Ireland. And that's because there's 26 counties in what is Ireland now, and then 6 counties in Northern Ireland.
Oh, okay.
And the whole idea is a united Ireland.
I think that's
Unfortunately,
everybody's idea.
Well, except for the British, because they won't let Northern Ireland go. So,
Yeah, no, I can see that. So there. I mean, I guess there's a lot of history that goes through Ireland.
oh yeah, there's a ton of history in Ireland. And my cousin, again, that's been to Ireland several times, he loves to play golf, and he went to a Pro-Am tournament in Ireland, and because he's got a good bit of money, decided to rent out an old castle, and he and his family stayed in the castle for like 5 days.
Oh, wow.
That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really awesome. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Go hit the lottery, Michael.
I'm trying.
Come
I'm
on
working
now.
on it.
Have you?
Well,
Have you bought a ticket lately? Really?
You normally take my card and go buy a ticket anyway.
No, I don't.
I've told you to do that.
No, you haven't.
Well, take his card and buy me a ticket, then I'll take you to Ireland.
Okay. Thanks, Chad.
Wait a minute. What happened here? I don't like how this went. No, so St. Patty's Day, the reason for it is not just to go get drunk. It was they celebrate his honor with a big feast. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, when you have a big feast, you're going to drink.
Right.
It's not just an excuse to get drunk, like you said.
Right.
There's a lot more meaning behind it, and if you're looking at St. Patty's Day as, oh, I get to wear green and I get to pinch all these girls that don't wear green, and I get to get shit faced and make a ass of myself and call myself Irish, that's not. You're not really doing the right thing.
I'll tell you, and the two of you probably can feel this coming. For that type of person, I've got 2 words. Fuck you.
Yep. I'm good with that. So there's a lot of stuff. I mean, a feast. Now, do you know any traditional Irish food?
I do. And you've got the ones that have been more Americanized, like the corned beef and cabbage. But, if you go to the East Coast, a lot of the times they'll have an Irish stew, which is mainly beef in a broth with potatoes and barley, which are two of the main crops from Ireland.
Okay.
But a lot of them have been Americanized, but they can do anything with potato because that's their big crop there.
Right.
So pretty much every meal you have there, you have some sort of potato with it or in it.
Yeah.
Why is that? What was with potatoes?
It's just potatoes grew real well there,
Okay.
and that's why you had in history when you had the Irish potato famine. There was a disease that all the potatoes got, and they were essentially rotten, and that's why a bunch of Irish immigrants came to the United States.
Oh.
So here's kind of the kicker about that is, and especially when you take it back to today, and we're just letting anyone in just because. Back then, they were coming in, and it was right in the midst of the Civil War that a lot of them were coming in. And they were coming in through New York because, one, it made sense, and that's where the main harbor for immigrants was.
Right.
Majority of those people that came in, if it was a male of fighting age, and we're going back to Civil War times, so we're talking like 8 and you were a drummer boy all the way up into your 30s, you got taken off the boat with your family, and the males got directed into another line, and they signed in one book to become a citizen for them and their families to become citizens, and they signed in another book to join the Union Army.
Oh, wow.
So they were then taken and trained a little bit, and the majority of the Irish that had that happen were put on the front lines because they were a little bit crazy and they didn't have a lot of fear.
Oh.
And they were expendable. The United
they-
States thought they were expendable
Right.
at that time.
Yep. So you had a lot of them on the front lines in the Civil War. And then after the Civil War, the Irish were probably some of the most discriminated against people in the country.
Yeah.
It was no surprise and nothing uncommon for a shop to have a sign in the window that said, "Help wanted, Irish need not apply."
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
And, yep.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So then a lot of the Irish started moving west. One, because a lot of them came from farming backgrounds, and farther west you got, especially at that time, the more farmland you got into.
Yep.
But then they also got into working with the railroad because, again, they were kind of crazy and fearless. And
Yep.
they would be the ones that would take the pile of nitroglycerin or the jars of nitroglycerin into the cave to blow up to make a tunnel.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And people said that's fine because they're expendable.
Right.
So, you got to understand that St. Patrick's Day and the whole thing, it started with him being a slave. He was a slave in Rome. So slavery was alive and well in Rome. He got free. And I don't remember how he got. I don't know if he earned it or he escaped. I'm not sure.
I want to say that the church ended up taking him in and buying his freedom
Okay.
with the idea of sending him back to Ireland to help expand the church
Which
and convert people.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. That's why now he had a reason. That was his drive. They saved me from this life. They're good people. I'm going to spread their word. Yeah, that makes sense. I totally buy that.
Yeah, because at the time, the people in Ireland, they were all more druidic than anything else.
Right.
They worshipped nature and the stars and the sun and the trees and the plants and
Right.
which something to say for that too, where they were one with nature and really knew what nature was giving them.
So, and we go through a lot of stuff here in the U.S. and there's no doubt that hindsight's 2020. So we now know in this era, slavery was horrible. Slavery was horrible for a lot of folks, but it happened to the Irish.
Yeah.
The Irish over here were slaves. That they were all enslaved, and that's what they were. They were treated like crap. They were treated like pieces of shit, basically.
Right.
You couldn't get a job. You couldn't do this, and it got worse and worse for them. So you understand that they're like, fine, you don't want us here, we'll move west. So they moved west. They started getting everything set up, and then what happened? Other people came west, and they said, oh, yeah, you're Irish, so get out of here. And they kept kicking. They just kept getting kicked down the street is basically what happened.
Right. And a lot of them, if they wanted to stay more on the eastern side of the country, they couldn't find jobs, so they would move south and sell themselves into indentured servitude, essentially.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You're
it's basically a
indentured
serf
servitude.
or something like that.
Well, essentially, you're selling your freedom essentially to to whoever so that they'll support your family is what it was at that point.
See, that also happened with right around, when slavery was abolished here. A lot of the slaves that were down in the South, they were all of a sudden free. So a lot of times they said, well, you're free, you're good to go. And then a lot of them, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
How are they going to support themselves?
They had no money, they didn't know anything. And so you had a lot of these rich people say, well, you could, you could live here and work here, and I'll pay you now. And so they paid them, and you're like, oh, that sounds fair, right? Until you realize that when they gave them the paycheck, they say, oh yeah, by the way, now you owe us rent, this, and they basically got no money. Which is why I think tipping is. I'm surprised we still tip in this country, because tipping is such a racist thing. It started as a tipping of the slaves, or the freed slave is what it was. Now we talk about one side of slavery, but we never talk about the Irish side, and that's unfortunate. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, see, like I said, the Irish were probably the most discriminated against culture in the United States for quite a while. These are people that came over and said, I'll do anything, and I will...
And did it.
Yeah, and did it with a smile on their face, up to and including standing on the front line of the Union Army and being a meat shield.
Going into a cave and say, yeah, this stuff is highly volatile. Yeah, I'll do that.
Let's blow it up.
Most of them were probably drunk at the time, so they didn't care.
And it's fun to blow stuff up. Come on now.
If we had the chance to go blow a hole in the side of a mountain, we'd do it, wouldn't we, Mikey?
I'm not Irish, but I would, in a heartbeat. That would be me, yeah. I could totally see it. It's one of those cultures that I think helped so much. They added so much flavor and diversity.
And not only that, the culture that they brought here. Here's something that a lot of people may not realize is country music right now across the country is really big.
Right.
Probably one of the biggest genres of music that we have right now.
Right.
So country music comes from bluegrass music in the Appalachian Mountains.
Right.
All right. Bluegrass music comes from Celtic folk music.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So without them coming here, we wouldn't have all the great country music that we have.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
And you go to Appalachia and see those people, and a lot of those people are still 100% Irish, and it's like they stopped in time at some point, because they're still living the same way that they were in
I'd love to
the
see
1900s to the 1920s or so, and
that'd be awesome to see. I'd love to go visit it. It's crazy. Now
they're crazy, but
now I noticed that I want to say we have a friend that went up to Michigan. They have a Belgium or what? Who's the one that went up to Michigan? Our friend. She rode on the back of the motorcycle.
I don't know.
Starts with a D. I can't remember her name now. We had a friend that she was one of Lacey's friends. She left her husband.
Oh, Desi.
Desi. So what is Desi?
I think she's from Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. So they went up to Michigan area.
Okay.
Because they have a big Bulgarian group up there. Now New York kind of has a big Irish group, don't they?
Well, and New York is the true melting pot, because you've got a big Irish section, you've got a big Jewish section, you've got a big Puerto Rican section, you've got a big Polish section, you've got a big Lithuanian section, Korean, Chinese, you name it. They've kind of carved out their own part in the city. But yeah, you have a lot of Irish in the New York and in the Boston area.
Well, that's kind of cool. Now here we're in Omaha, so we have a few. Do we have an Irish area here? Because I can't think of one now.
Not that I know of. We've got the area where there are Hispanics down in South Omaha, where they're all kind of clustered together, or a lot of them are.
You got Little Italy.
Yeah, you've got Little Italy. But you don't really have a Little Ireland here.
Yeah, I've noticed that, but it's kind of crazy that they do have that footprint. New York is kind of one of those weird cities that just, I don't know how it works.
I think a lot of it is because New York has been there for as long as they have, and they had so many immigrants flooding in, and typically immigrants like to stay with like kind. So you'd have the Korean immigrants all going to one area, and a lot of it was protection because a lot of the immigrants were discriminated against regardless of who they were. I mean, if you really want to see what it was like, go and watch Gangs in New York because they do a good job depicting it.
You and I need to stop doing this crap because I was just getting ready. I'm like, when you're done, I'm going to ask you, what do you think of Gangs in New York? I was just thinking that, and you beat me to it. Jesus.
But they did a really good job, and that it was mainly the Irish side of it. But even with that, you had the native born, who are those that were second generation here in the United States. That even though the other group was the same as them, Irish, Korean, Polish, whatever it happened to be, they thought they were better than that because those were the dirty immigrants.
Oh, wow.
But, it kind of became out of necessity that these groups would stay in the same areas so they could watch each other's backs and keep their same culture together. And
that makes sense.
A lot of these groups also have a really rich culture that they want to keep alive.
So let me ask you, how do you feel on someone who's not Irish celebrating St. Patrick's Day?
I take it for what it is because we're in America, and in America, St. Patrick's Day, everyone's Irish. Do I think it kind of makes a mockery of the Irish culture? Yeah.
Okay.
Because most of them that are doing it are, again, using it as an excuse to drink. Well, it's St. Patrick's Day. It's my excuse to go out and drink.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I feel the same way. I would say if you're taking this just as an excuse to get shit-faced, you're doing it wrong. But if you're doing it and you're trying to, I guess, honor the Irish tradition, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. If you want to say, you know what, it is St. Patrick's Day, we're going to go have a Guinness. We're going to go have some Irish food. We're going to participate that way.
Go to some place where an Irish band is playing and
right.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of put to the culture there and do that. I'm okay with that. I'm quite okay with that. I think you're right. If they're out there making a mockery out of it, I think I have to say the same thing you would.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah.
Mikey, do you agree?
I mean, I agree with all of this.
Okay. We'll
Mikey
see.
doesn't know what to think.
Right. He's still trying to figure out where the 4-leaf clover comes in on this and where leprechauns go
Yeah.
through.
He's looking for the pot of gold.
I will tell you, that's one of my favorite movies. It was an old 1970 something movie. I can't remember the name of it. Like the patio.
Wasn't it like McGilly or something?
Yeah, McGillis, Patio McGillis or something like that. It's an old Disney movie. And it was, I loved it, but it was now that I've done a little bit of research, oh man, that was.
Well, don't get me started on Disney.
Yeah.
I've got a couple bones to pick with Disney.
I don't think, if you haven't seen that movie, you go back through it. Your Irish side might get upset. I'll be honest with you.
My Irish side is upset most of the time. So,
old school Disney was racist.
well, yes and no. All right, a little bit off the subject, but one of my favorite old Disney movies, and this is going back to when I was in grade school, and at the end of the quarter or end of the semester, you'd have a day or two where you just do nothing but watch movies, unless you had a bunch of snow days. We would always watch Song of the South, which Disney pretty much acts like doesn't exist anymore. Here's my problem with that. At the time that it was made, it wasn't made to be racist. And in fact, today's not made to be racist. It was made to teach lessons. And it had the happy guy that was the former slave that was teaching the white plantation owner's son lessons in life. And
oh, yeah. But, see, they don't like those lessons.
No.
They want to pretend those don't happen. That Disney, they did some really crazy shit. That's I love and hate. I have a love-hate relationship with Disney.
Mainly hate.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I don't know. So now I think we're getting to the end. So I think we're on to our Irish goodbye. Now I read this and I'm like, every cowboy's dream is the Irish goodbye.
Yeah. So I guess they make like their arrivals, like when you arrive somewhere, obviously, they make it really big and extravagant, but like the goodbye is like opposite of that.
Yeah. Isn't that
So,
crazy?
yeah.
It's like you just ride off into the sunset. It's like fading off into the background. That's kind of, I mean,
It's like the Homer Simpson backing up into the hedges. You just slowly disappear.
get out of my head. Oh my God. Yeah, I was like, it's just amazing. It's just, I could just picture, it's not a cowboy for me anymore. It's now it's an Irishman walking off into the sunset.
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know. I think that's I mean, it's a hello should be festive and happy to see you. Goodbyes are generally somber. I'm not very particular.
I'm not
goodbyes.
fond of goodbyes.
Neither am I.
Well, who is really though? I mean,
Well, there's some people that I'm glad they leave.
yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
that's true.
I've had some people that I've like, I can't wait till that doorknob hits your ass on the way out the door.
Or they say, well, I think it's about time I have to leave. Please do.
Yeah. Now, here in the Midwest, we have how many times do you have to slap your knee before you finally say that it's time to go?
Well, if it's my family, a goodbye takes about 3 hours. It starts with we're leaving in 5 minutes, and 2.5 hours later,
That's how you
everyone's
guys-
still at the door saying goodbye, and something else comes up that they have to talk about and discuss. And
Yeah.
That's how you two are too.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
We don't like goodbye, so
Yeah.
we try to delay it. I think that's it.
well, we have so much to talk about.
I
so.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
for those of you that don't know, Mike and I could go on for hours, and when we have gone on for hours and
Yeah.
hours.
We could. We have.
Yeah.
So
And just from subject to subject, and we pick up right where the other one leads. So
Yep.
yeah, and that's our problem is because our brains are somehow linked somehow here, and like you'll say something and I'm thinking it, or I'll say something you're thinking it, which is kind of weird. It's
Well,
just
here's how linked the two of us are. First part of this year, we both had COVID. We were not around each other for a good week prior to that because
Right.
you had Christmas and everything. You were doing things with your family. I was doing things with my family. So it was probably a good week and a half since we had seen each other. So it's not like we got it one from the other.
right.
But we managed to both come down with COVID at the exact same time.
Right. And a lot of like we play, D&D and a few other things. And there's a lot of times like we're so in sync that we almost have to like try to purposely think, okay, this is what I'd normally do, but I have to do something different so he doesn't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it makes it hard to be the DM with you at the table sometimes.
Yeah, I will agree. That's probably true. So, no, I think that's a good show. I would say our ending note on this would be, don't be a jackass.
Yeah.
If you want to go enjoy yourself, go enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But understand that there's a lot more to traditions than just a day of a holiday.
Yeah. And, just because it's St. Patrick's Day doesn't mean you have to pretend like you're Irish. Be yourself.
Right.
Go out, celebrate. Do it with a little bit of respect and dignity.
Yep.
But, before we wrap up, I'm going to give everyone here a good Irish blessing. This is the most well-known Irish blessing, and a lot of people may not know it exists, but I really like it. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and may the rain fall soft upon your fields.
That is a awesome blessing. And I think on that note, we will close it.
All right. Bye, everybody.